And so many in the Black community, if I'm being honest with you, because I want to be, believe that you are being used as a pawn by the right and that you're a charlatan of sorts.
He's not a Republican.
So how do you...
She confronts him by calling him a charlatan. Sunny Hostin, Joy Ha, and Whoopi Goldberg are all featured in this episode. It's an all-star group, indeed. They're really losing it over the typical woke talking points surprise. Surprise this. Episode, they have author Coleman Hughes as a guest to talk about his perspective on colorblindness in relation to race. And they are enraged with him, utterly incensed, because he dared to write a book recommending that we try our hardest to prevent racial bigotry and such. It may seem like a standard woke manifesto, yet it's not at all similar, and Whoopi, Joy, and Sunny were all offended by that. Here is a clip from The View when they criticize Coleman Hughes and his book, and he shuts them down entirely on their own show.
The question that I should ask you to do is explain to folks what you mean by this. Arguments for a colorblind America. What do you mean when you say that?
So a lot of people equate colorblindness to I don't see race or to pretending not to see race. I think that's a big mistake. We all see race, right? And we're all capable of being racially biased, so we should all be self-aware to that possibility. My argument is not for that. My argument is that we should try our very best to treat people without regard to race, both in our personal lives and our public policy. And the reason I wrote this book, thank you. The reason I wrote this book is because in the past 10 years, it has become very popular to, in the name of anti-racism, teach a kind of philosophy to our children and in general that says your race is everything, right? And I think that is the wrong way to fight racism, and that's why I wrote this book at this time.
I'm sorry, baby. Can I just point out that there is a reason for that? You know, when I went to school, getting any information about anyone's race was not taught. No history, there was no Black history, none of those things were taught.
In actuality, the absence of a distinct Black history is preferable since the concept of Black history inherently fosters separation. Black History Month, and the Black National Anthem are just terms that further distance us from one another. Everything should be seen as American history. This kind of polarizing agenda was the reason why there wasn't a clear Black history in the past, not because individuals didn't matter, not to the degree we observe today, anyway. It is therefore preferable to have no distinct Black past. And it's not because I believe that Black history should not be recognized. In no way, it's because we are united when we view everything as part of American history. We're all Americans.
It's been such a pointing of very specific racial things, like women couldn't get into colleges. If you were a Black person, there were a lot of colleges wouldn't accept you. Trying to equal the playing field. I think that's what a lot of folks have been trying to do. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
I think that's your experience, and that's valid. You know, as a counterpoint, when I was in 5th grade, we all watched Roots together in public school.
Yeah.
So these are different experiences. I think it's also different generations. It's different parts of the country, right? We have very different cultures all living together in one country. So I'm not going to deny that. But I view this notion of a colorblind society similar to the idea of a peaceful society, which is to say it's an ideal. It's a North Star. And the point is not that we're ever going to get there. We're not going to touch it. But we have to know when we're going forward and when we're going backwards. And we're going backwards when we're doing woke kindergarten in San Francisco, you know, with you didn't hear about the story?
No, but wait, I just want to get to part of that book. Actually, you believe that public policies that address socioeconomic differences would be better at benefiting disadvantaged groups, and that race-based policies often hurt the very people they're trying to help. What are some examples of policies that would be better at reducing racial disparities?
So my overall argument is that class, socioeconomics, is a better proxy for disadvantage. We all want to help the disadvantaged, and the question is, how do we identify them, right? The default right now in a lot of areas of policy is to use, you know, Black and Hispanic identity.
Is incidentally extremely racist. It is essentially the white savior complex to assume that someone is less fortunate just because they are Black, the one that the awakened population consistently asserts they oppose. The irony is this. The white saviors are them in actuality. It is they who are sustaining racism. They're the ones who point out that you're Hispanic, Black, or anything. Since I'm better than you, I must assist you. That is the attitude. It doesn't have to be that way, in fact. In actuality, such treatment is fundamentally racist.
Better picture of who needs help by looking at socioeconomics and income. That picks out people in a more accurate way.
Not my question, but when you say that socioeconomics picks out people in a better way than race, when you do look at the socioeconomics, you see the huge disparity between white households and Black households. You see the huge disparity between white households and Hispanic households. So your argument, and I've read your book twice because I wanted to give it a chance, your argument that race has no place in that equation is really fundamentally flawed. In my opinion.
Well, they're two separate questions. One is whether each racial group is socioeconomically the same. That I agree with you. They're not.
Yeah, they're not, and the stats show that.
Yeah, of course, I agree with that fully. The question is how do you address that in a way that actually targets
For instance, why is it that everything is framed as a race problem when it is obviously not? If poverty or socioeconomic position are our true concerns, why not look at the actual statistics regarding money and opportunity instead of skin color? This is always the more accurate perspective. Not every black person lives in poverty. Not every white person is wealthy. Black families are rich and white families are destitute. Since a racial narrative isn't always accurate, why put it into everything without causing division? Concentrating solely on socioeconomic position provides us with the information we truly require. That's why it's so annoying when individuals like Sunny Hostin, Whoopi Goldberg, and the rest of The View insist on making everything about race. It isn't even the most accurate perspective on the nation. The best course of action is to consider class and status if we truly want to get it properly. It is much less divisive, factual, and objective.
King wrote in his book, Why We Can't Wait, is he called it, we need a Bill of Rights for the Disadvantaged. And he said, yes, we should address racial inequality. Yes, we should address the legacy of slavery. But the way to do that is on the basis of class. And that will disproportionately target blacks and Hispanics because they're disproportionately poor, but it will be doing so in a way that also helps the white poor, in a way that addresses poverty as the thing to be addressed.
That part is true, but as you are a student of Dr. King, I'm not only a student of Dr. King, I know his daughter, Bernice, right? So I'm going to get to my question.
Go ahead, go right ahead.
I think the premise is fundamentally flawed. You claim that color blindness was the goal.
Whenever Sunny Hostin makes a statement, that is entirely unreasonable and she is unable to refute it. You can see how he continues changing the topic. He raises the point that if we concentrate on class, we would not only aid the disproportionately impacted black and Hispanic people, but also impoverished white people. What does Sunny do? Furthermore, she simply skirts the issue completely. She doesn't really have an answer, so she shifts the topic. No, but she dislikes that argument, and it's clear that she doesn't want to assist the white people.
Upon Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, content of character versus the color of skin. Bernice, Dr. King's daughter, points out that 4 years after giving that speech, actually, Dr. King also said this: a society that has done something special against the Negro for hundreds of years must now do something special for Negroes. He also said in 1968, it was about less than a week before he was assassinated, this country never stops to realize that they owe a people kept in slavery for 244 years. So rather than class, he did write about that earlier on. Right before his death, he made the argument for racial equality and racial reparations. And so your argument for color blindness, I think, is something that the right has co-opted. And so many in the black community, if I'm being honest with you, because I want to be, believe that you are being used as a pawn by the right and that you're a charlatan of sorts.
To his face, you are outright calling him a charlatan. Go back and see how Joy Behar responds. Quickly rewind the video to see her response to Sunny Hostin's recent statement.
You are being used as a pawn by the right and that you're a charlatan of sorts.
He's not a Republican.
So how do you...
He's never voted for
you
Republican.
said that you're a conservative. No, you did. You actually said that in the podcast that you did 2 weeks ago.
I said I was a conservative.
That even caused obvious discomfort for the other host, or rather, the other guest on The View. As soon as Sunny Hostin called their guest a charlatan in front of him, the others instinctively went into defensive mode in support of him. It is crazy.
But my question to you is, how do you respond to those critics?
Let's give it a
So, first thing I think it's very important. The quote that you just pointed out about doing something special for the Negro, that's from the book Why We Can't Wait that I just mentioned.
Yes.
A couple paragraphs later, he lays out exactly what that something special was,
Yes.
and it was the Bill of Rights for the Disadvantaged, a broad class-based policy.
But he also says you must include race.
No, he didn't. He says it's
Yes, he does.
Okay, well, everyone should go read the book Why We Can't Wait. Let's not get sidetracked by that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been co-opted by anyone. I've only voted twice, both for Democrats. Although I'm an independent, I would vote for a Republican, probably a non-Trump Republican.
You should hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you find this type of stuff entertaining. It really is really helpful to me. It's time to return to the video.
I don't think there's any evidence I've been co-opted by anyone, and I think that that's That's an ad hominem tactic people use to not address really the important conversations we're having here. And I think it's better, and it would be better for everyone if we stuck to the topics rather than make it about me with no evidence.
I want to give you the opportunity to respond to the,
I appreciate
the criticism.
I appreciate it. There's no evidence that I've been co-opted by anyone. I have an independent podcast. I work for CNN as an analyst. I write for the Free Press. I'm independent in all of these endeavors, and no one is paying me to say what I'm saying. I'm saying it because
I think it's absurd that Sunny Hostin reacts the way she does because he only raised a legitimate argument. Like, why must we just concentrate on non-white people, specifically black or Hispanic people, instead? Why not concentrate on class? In this manner, we assist poor white people as well as impoverished black and Hispanic people who nevertheless receive disproportionate assistance. What does Sunny do? Furthermore, when she becomes upset, she immediately launches into ad hominem attacks. Here, you are an imposter.
In the past decade, it feels like racial tensions have gotten worse. Do you see that way, and what do you attribute it to?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at all the data, it finds that race relations were getting better until about 2013. That year, you had a majority of black, Hispanic, and white Americans saying race relations were good, and then you just see it nosedive. And 2013, people like to blame, Republicans like to blame Obama. It wasn't his fault. Democrats like to blame Trump. It was actually just technology. We all got social media and smartphones, and we had videos being promoted in the algorithm that were unrepresentative, and it created this impression that racism was on the rise when in fact it had been on the decline for decades.
And do you attribute that at all to foreign actors getting involved in technology?
Yes, Russia tries to meddle, absolutely, but I don't think we can blame foreign actors. This is a homegrown problem.
Okay. I have a question, because you write that the anti-racism movement, there are a couple of people, I don't even know who they are, maybe
Robin DiAngelo.
Robin DiAngelo,
Yeah.
Ibram Kendi, for instance.
Okay, well, you say that is just another form of racism, and you even say it has a lot in common with white supremacy. How can you compare those two things? You talk
compare
about
them because-
anti-racism, you're comparing it to white supremacy.
Because they both view your race as an extremely significant part of who you are. So white supremacists, they obviously say, we all know what they say, okay? Neo-racists like Rob DiAngelo, they say that to be white is to be ignorant, for example. Well, this is a racial stereotype, and I want to call a spade and say this is not the style of anti-racism we have to be teaching our kids. We should be teaching them that your race is not a significant feature of who you are. Who you are is your character, your value, and your skin color doesn't say anything about that.
When he says that, you can see how the audience begins to applaud. And Sunny Hostin is obviously not fond of it. Not to Whoopi Goldberg's liking, Joy Behar also dislikes it. He always gets a reaction because it's accurate. When he says something as basic as your race or your skin color shouldn't be a major factor in how we judge people. All are aware of it, however, Sunny Hostin and Whoopi Goldberg, the hosts of The View, find that disrespectful in some way. They are unwilling to listen to it. That is not the way they wish to think. They want to be racist, which is why they hold onto this worldview. Simply put, they are. In all honesty, it's repulsive.
Thank you, Coleman Hughes, for coming, because this is a show of lots of different opinions, and we are multi-generational.
The show isn't exactly renowned for its range of viewpoints. Their viewpoints are essentially the same. They seem to be paid to promote this woke narrative. To be honest, what do you all think it even reached a point where the supporters, The View's own audience, began cheering when it became apparent that the presenters were uncomfortable and agitated, and the other hosts appeared to turn against Sunny Hostin? They were essentially turned against by the audience. Let's stop the woke crap from Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, and others, and I'd love to hear your comments on Coleman Hughes' appearance. Post your opinions in the comments section. Please remember to subscribe, like, and leave other positive feedback if you like the video. In the next one, I hope to see you.